Thank you, Chris, for the invitation to come here today and share my newfound passion with you all. So Claudia mentioned I'm working for the Department of Fish and Wildlife. I call this my day job, even though I'm trying to infiltrate the department with my passion right now. So I just joined the working group on drones. And there are a lot of issues that I will not have time to go into in depth today, but if anyone ever has a question, there's my email address. And if you're wondering, Bird's Eye View is a little side company that a friend of mine who's a pilot and I have pulled together. And it's something that, who knows, maybe in the future I will go back to. Right now I am just passionate about spreading the word about drones and using my vast experience in partnerships. Claudia didn't mention I worked for the Bay Area joint venture, its name, and it's basically a partnership of all the various conservation-oriented and government organizations that are doing restoration in the Bay. Now my job at the Department of Fish and Wildlife is similar, where I'm now focusing on the Delta. So I have certainly learned that a lot of players are out there that need to come together to make things work. And in some ways, I wonder if that's how I became, fascinated with the idea of drones, because what I have done as part of my job is fly and do aerial surveys a lot. And I realized, well, partnerships are only going to work if we take so that the 10,000-foot view in a lot of cases, because we all have our specialties, we all have our strengths, and that's great. But we need to start communicating together and fly up and look down and say, oh, where are the connections? How is this related to each other? And what can we learn together? And how can we all play our respective roles to actually influence decision-making, which in the end is where it's at. So today I'm here to talk to you about using unmanned aerial systems in conservation and natural resources management. And basically this is applying my passion to what I've done for my day jobs. I just want to give you a brief overview of what types of drones are out there today. And actually I'm curious, when you hear the word drone, what comes to mind? What do you think? Killing people, okay. Anything else? Invasion of privacy. Anything else? Cameras, okay. So I have been a drone pilot for over a year now. I've traveled the world with my drone. I have gone through airport security. I have filmed one morning in Spain and was approached by this man who said, "Are you going to shoot us all?" And I was baffled by that, and I thought, wow, there's a lot of education that we need to do. So with anything like, a new tool that I think is going to revolutionize not just industries like filmmaking, agriculture, real estate, and any other kind of application these tools can have, it was a wake-up call for me. And I think one of the things that we really need to think about is using communication and partnerships to spread the word about drones in conservation and natural resources management, and how can they be actually a positive tool. And this is in part why I'm here. So it doesn't have to be hard. If you're interested in using this technology, you can just go out to the hobby store, buy yourself a model aircraft, a little, autopilot thing, and then, whatever sensor you want to actually utilize, you can attach. It could be a camera, which is most likely what you're going to use, but it could be any other type of sensor. And then software is being developed right now at an amazing pace to actually apply all these various things that we've heard already this morning to do, fog monitoring, to do digital elevation models, to have infrared cameras that show us where birds are during the night, like in cranes. The Nature Conservancy has used this in their research. And so it's a really exciting thing that doesn't have to be expensive. I was very lucky to be invited to a recent conference at the California Academy of Sciences where they invited folks from all over the world to come and share their experiences with drones for conservation. And unfortunately, because of all this sort of negative rap about drones in the United States, people have not really been open about it. And so a lot of the wonderful stories that we have and I will share with you come from elsewhere. And so at this conference at the Academy, there were people from mainly rainforest regions sharing important applications of drones and how they can actually be used for good. For example, you can send out a drone in an area that is not necessarily close to lots of airports, and so there is safety concerns obviously in the United States, and maybe in the Amazon it's not such a problem. So what they are doing, they're just sending out the drones to do reconnaissance with regard to where are certain species of mammals like orangutans, for example. With regard to anti-poaching, it's so much easier to send out a little drone to see what's going on where the people are that might shoot the rhino or the elephant rather than sending people. Natural resource exploitation, there were folks there from a tribe in Central America who have now found a tool for use against multinational corporations that are basically scamming them because they say, okay, well, we're on your lands and we're just going to do this little thing and exploit the natural resource. We're not going to do anything bad. Well, it usually doesn't happen that way, but now they have a tool to have evidence, photographic evidence of what's actually happening. And so it was very fascinating to hear about that. Deforestation is similar to that. And then more close to home, something that I've been working with a lot is invasive species management. A lot of money is spent every year, millions of dollars, on basically trying to control invasive species. Sometimes it's really hard to find them in the larger areas. So drones, again, can help with that. So just quickly, a little overview. So in this slide, you can see the fixed-wing drones. So this is basically a model airplane, like I said, that you can attach the sensor of your choice to and then send it out. And because it's a fixed-wing aircraft, it doesn't take as much battery as the next type, which is a quad-copter or a multi-copter. And it can hover, but that means that it's going to take more battery, and that is sort of the big limiting factor for these types of drones. But we can still use them for a lot of wonderful things like smaller scale surveys. You can launch them from like another vessel, like a big boat, and do whale monitoring, for example. Also, if you want to know what's up in a nest, people also worry about, well, disturbing wildlife. Yes, we always have to be very cognizant of that, and we have to make sure that we're not overdoing, the new technology and really test it. But whether or not somebody is going to have to climb the tree to see whether or not the nest up there has chicks in it, or just fly up for 5 minutes and come back down, I think that, the answer is pretty clear. So any kind of reconnaissance, and honestly, Chris said it, there's a lot of fun involved in this. I mean, you can be out there with your little toy and you can do some really great stuff. So limitations, I mentioned that, the United States, there are safety issues and safety concerns that are very real, and we need to take those very seriously. So right now, the regulations by the FAA limit any kind of drone to go further higher than 400 feet, and you always have to see it. So the line of sight requirement is important. Other considerations when you're doing research are weather, visibility, topography, location, and airspace that actually apply to both types of drones. The fixed wings, they don't have the hover ability. So if you really want to kind of hone in on something action that's happening, let's say in a nest, you would choose your quadcopter. However, there is again that concern with the battery capacity. The exciting thing about the technology piece here is that you can actually, and like I said earlier, a lot of people are so at the forefront of this. So I remember not having a version of a software ready for my type of drone, and I was waiting for weeks, and then finally it came out. So I mean, this is exciting. This is happening right now. A lot of people are thinking about it, and basically what it is you can do what's called waypoint navigation. You think about on the map where you want to go, you program that in, and you send the drone off. Again, it is not applicable everywhere. You have to think about safety. Certainly in open space areas, if you have the right clearance and all that, I mean, these are steps that need to be taken. It is a time saver. It can be repeated very, accurately. It's an amazing tool for hopefully good application. Yes, you can spy with it too, and I guess we're spying on nature, but again, you can kill somebody with your car, but usually you just want to go from A to B. So a few examples, whale monitoring I mentioned. I remember going to Sonoma, to San Francisco State for my master's, and I was working with this lady that wanted to do blue whale research. Blue whales are just so hard to find. So she had to change her focus because there was just no way. Now people are out there studying blue whales because they have a better way to actually get samples and find them. I mentioned the orangutan nest surveys. So basically you just fly the drone around and then take pictures. And from that, time series application of the technology, well, where are they, when are they, where, who is there, and so forth. I mentioned cameras, photos, video, and again, the art piece comes in here too. I mean, it's gorgeous what you can do with aerial imagery. Infrared, I mentioned, and then there's the multi-hyperspectral application where you can really kind of pick out certain spectral signatures, and you can say, okay, well, these are all oaks, or this is this type of plant, and we have computers now that we can then just run the imagery through and figure out where specific individuals or species can be found on the landscape. So obviously, we're combining a lot of different areas of inquiry, and I think that's where this is really exciting. And in the end, I hope it can be applied to decision making by having more reliable and more cost-effective data in the end, because drones are not that expensive. So I have a few more slides, but I think this is just basically the details on the imagery analysis, and then again the conservation applications. And for all of these things, and I'm going to leave that up, there are partnerships that are already in place or are emerging. So thank you very much.